Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Thanks for joining us. I am Colleen with Chats with Colleen. We're so glad that you're here joining us on our biweekly podcast. Please remember our podcasts are produced and released biweekly. You can join us on all social media and streaming platforms. In addition to, you can join us in person to be on a podcast in our Lake Mary office studio or on Zoom anywhere throughout the world. So please join us. Remember, this podcast is about you, to promote you, your businesses, your services, and or your hobbies, or share your story and bring awareness. So please join us. This episode and the next two, so it's going to be a three-part series, are going to be featuring Angela Aki, or known as Angie Aki. She is a passionate person who can help people promote their businesses themselves and help grow to extreme capacity and money wise and personal knowledge wise. She has an extreme extensive background in many different areas, and she's going to share and enlighten us on those in the coming weeks. So remember, it's a three-part series, so it's going to be released bi-weekly. So it'll take us a total of about 6 weeks for all of them. But please join, like, and share and promote our guests. Because remember, like I said, these are about our guests and helping them and bring awareness to them and others in the world and the US. We hope you are all doing well. Again, thanks for joining us and enjoy the coming episodes. Hi, welcome. This is Colleen with Chats with Colleen, and today I have a great guest, Angela Aki, who's joining me, which I'm really excited. Thanks, by the way, for joining me on a Saturday afternoon.
Of
Thank
course,
you.
anytime. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. So I want to talk a little bit about your past careers, which I know is pretty exciting. It's something that I'm really interested in being a pharma rep or a drug rep. How long did you do that for, and how did you get into that?
So I was in pharmaceutical sales for 16 years,
Oh,
and
wow.
I got recruited into it. So I went from I graduated from college and sold printing. So in printing sales, and then I did payroll sales, and I was doing well in payroll sales. And just got recruited into pharmaceutical sales and as a hospital pharmaceutical rep. So I called on major hospital systems throughout the state of Florida for 16 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And can you say which type of drugs or which company that you worked for?
So I worked for multiple companies. One of the things about pharma is it's very, and I say this, one of my girlfriends has been with the same company for her whole career, but typically for a lot of us, there's a lot of volatility. So I think I was with, over that course of time, I think five different companies because we were right-sized, downsized, bought out, merged, all the things. So the industry is unique in that there's a lot of changes. So I worked for about five companies over that period of time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I see. It's kind of like a small world, they say, like you go around, oh, now you're here, now you're there. Interesting. So what inspired you to get to leave that industry and get into something else?
Um, it's interesting. I feel like I had golden handcuffs, and I did. So, especially from the outside, and I was talking about this the other day. I was speaking to a young professionals group, but we were talking about the fact that, from the outside, is it can look like they have the dream life, right? And so I had the job, the high paying job, the high profile job. I had time freedom. I honestly I wasn't working that hard. I don't know how else to say it. So it looked like I had the perfect career, and maybe it's a perfect career for some people, but it wasn't my dream. And that's the most important part is it wasn't my dream. It wasn't really fulfilling for me. So I got bored, and it was almost like there was this itch that I couldn't scratch. And then I realized that I could get into entrepreneurship. And I didn't grow up with a family of entrepreneurs. I didn't realize entrepreneurship was really an option. I just thought it was some random weird thing that some people did, and I didn't know anything about it. And as I got into real estate investing and realized that I could get out of corporate on my own and have my own business and do my own thing, that's what inspired me. And having that fulfillment of, you know, the sky is the limit, right? Because with any corporate career, there's typically some type of ceiling, with the exception of people that are straight commission. Then typically there's no ceiling, right? But for where I was, there was always compensation changes and all these things. So I kept hitting a glass ceiling, and I wanted to break through it. And I wanted a lot of fulfillment in my life is really the key driver to leaving.
Oh, wow. That's really inspiring. And so, how would you say those your past experiences as a drug rep, how has it impacted and changed and made you, I guess, because you to do that, you have to have some drive because a lot of times you're working by yourself, going to your, calls and stuff. So how has that helped you move into your new career phase?
It helped me tremendously. I would not, for me, corporate America wasn't the final destination. For a lot of people, it is, and that's great. I wouldn't give up my 18 years in corporate America because I learned so much from it. I got so much great training, great experience. I had exposure to great leaders, to really poor leaders. And I was in sales the whole time. So I've been in sales for 25 years. And I know some people are very uncomfortable with sales. I love sales and I want everyone to love sales. But within that, right, I had a lot of training. I had a ton of autonomy and independence. So I learned a lot of self-discipline. I am naturally a type A driven personality, but I'm trying to think, the last time I was in an office was 2003. So, right, 22 years ago.
Hmm.
So I learned before COVID, right? When everyone was like, "Oh, I have to learn how to work from home." I always knew how to work from home because we didn't have an office. We didn't have anywhere to go to. Our car was our office, right? And we worked out of our homes. So just having that discipline was great. I've always done um, sales training, sales leadership, mentoring. So I got to experience that with a lot of support. So now I do sales training and sales coaching and help people. And then there was professionalism. I learned a lot of professionalism, making sure that you're presenting yourself professionally, setting boundaries with clients. I learned, sales 101, all the foundations, the importance of timely responses and emails and communication. And I mean, the list goes on and on. I'm very grateful for my time in corporate, and it has helped me to become the entrepreneur and businesswoman that I am today.
Wow, that's great. And then, did you have any challenges or surprises, I guess is a better word, when you went out and decided to go on your own and do your own thing?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Um, so for me, I had to do a lot of mindset work to be able to exit corporate and to be able to, get into entrepreneurship. So mindset and personal growth and development, I took did a lot of work on that, and that's something that I constantly spend time doing. And I highly recommend, anyone that's listening to this, I highly recommend you put a lot of time and effort into your personal growth and development and personal leadership development. It has been amazing. It has absolutely been amazing. One of the biggest surprises for me when I left corporate and got into entrepreneurship, I think entrepreneurship looks really pretty and shiny from the outside and it looks really glamorous. And then you get into it and holy crap, it's so much work. Like it is so much work, especially when you're starting out. You're working on mindset, personal development. You're the COO, you're the CMO, you're the CEO, you're the VP of sales, you're the VP of marketing. You're everything, right? You're the admin, you're the secretary, you're everything. And I've said before, and I'm a firm believer, I didn't know how hard it would be to be an entrepreneur and how much work it would be. And I'm grateful that I didn't know that, because if I did, I would have just stayed where I was. Because quite frankly, it was easier to, I could have just kept my job and made a lot of money. It was way easier. I could do it with my hands tied behind my back. Where this, there's
Mhm.
constant curveballs thrown at you and different things and challenges. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. So that was surprising to me, the amount of work and dedication and quite frankly, the amount of times that you fail forward as an entrepreneur to figure out not only what you want to do, but how you want to do it and how you will be successful. I think there's a lot of trial and error.
And I agree with you. Everybody thinks it's glamorous owning your own business. So it must be nice, but it's not as glamorous as it looks like in a picture or in a magazine. It's a lot.
It's a lot for sure.
For sure. So when you're an entrepreneur, what do you focus on? Like, what is your main, I guess, sense of your work right now?
So for me, um, and I'm a believer that it should always be sales unless you have a sales force.
Mhm.
I've been doing sales for a long time. I love sales. That's going to be my priority. And I always encourage entrepreneurs to make it their priority for as well, because if revenue is not in first position, then you don't have the money to build the team. You don't have the money to get the pretty website or the business cards or the logo or all the things. You have to sell something. And my husband's in sales too, so we always joke around, we're like, nothing happens till someone sells something. And it's true, right? So until you sell, like for instance, right, if you're not selling insurance policies, you can't feed your family, you can't feed your team, you
Mhm.
can't do a lot of things. So for me, it's sales.
It sales, yeah. And I never thought of myself as a salesperson or in sales, but then after like 5 years in, I'm like, well, this is just sales, and then it's commission based. And so that's all that it is. It's sales. But I try not to make it like that because I always want to say like what I'm doing is helping people, but in turn it's sales, which it's sales,
Mhm. It's
honestly.
sales. And no matter
Mhm.
what you're doing, whether you're, you know, no matter what business you have, you're in the sales business. You're either selling yourself, you're selling your business, you're selling a product or a service. And it's okay to say that. And so many people get uncomfortable with it, but you can provide tremendous amount of value and still be selling. That's okay. Sales doesn't have to be some like weird, creepy thing. As long
Right.
as you are rooted in the value that you bring in your product or service, it's still sales. It's
And you're
just
still, like you said, you're
the same
providing
with
a service for other people that's a needed service and whatever it is.
you're leading with value, you're leading with relationships. And that's I've always done relationship selling. So I've always done relationship sales. It's always about the person and their need and filling that gap. I'm not just selling something if someone doesn't need it. I think that's when people start feeling uncomfortable, but it's finding out, it's sitting down with someone like you and saying, okay, Colleen, help me understand your business, help me understand, depending and filling that gap and providing value so that now I'm meeting your need because, we have that relationship and trust. And now you see the value in my product or service.
So when you meet with the client, you're focusing on helping them to improve their bottom line. Is that right?
Yep. So I run a business solutions concierge and consulting service. And what I do is I go in, I work with small business owners. I love working with businesses. And I sit down and look at different ways that I can present or integrate different products or services into their business that will help them positively impact their line within 30 to 60 days. And that can be, things from payment processing, right? Can they save on processing fees? Can they save, affordable legal services? I've partnered with Legal Shield on small business plans and group benefits. So can they, have basically an attorney on retainer for dollars a day? Can they provide a voluntary group benefit that is one of the most sought after and requested group benefits or voluntary benefits. I have Section 125 health management plans that can help save in payroll taxes. That's a really important one too. And then, that there's a whole insurance piece, right? And that becomes a really big part, right? And so we can look at insurance. I also look at different things. I can come in and do sales training, leadership development, personal development workshops with the team. And that's not something where you will see it like in hard numbers, right? And hard costs, but that's soft costs, right? So if you can reduce if you can reduce your attrition and you can increase your employee retention, then that is positively impacting your bottom line because it's very expensive to replace an employee. And if you are pouring into your team and providing personal development and leadership training and workshops like that, you're pouring into your team. They're going to become better employees because they're going to develop leadership skills and become better people in general. If you invest in sales training, if your people just get a little bit better at sales, even if a minimum, right? They learn because people don't ask for the sale. People don't close the deal. So even if they start learning to ask for the sale or start asking for referrals, it can be little things like that that can absolutely positively impact your bottom line very, very quickly. And that's a soft cost.
Get that. Could you try again?
Sorry, Siri is now talking to me. I apologize.
I know. She likes to butt into our conversations. It's all right. Yeah. She wants some sales training.
Siri, no. Siri needs, yes, some sales training. That's rude.
So when you take on a new client, how do you go in to analyze them at first and determine what their needs are?
It's usually just sitting down and helping understand, if they have a specific pain point. So some people, I will, in conversation, sometimes things will come up. There's typically one product or service that I will lead with or in conversation understand that they may need. But sometimes it's a whole consultative approach to sit down and say, hey, tell me about your business. Tell me about, looking at benefits is a whole different thing. Looking at, sales training is a whole different thing. Looking at payment processing is a whole different thing. So there's a lot of different pieces. And sometimes people will say, hey, can you help me understand what different services or products do you offer that may be applicable? And sometimes I'll just go over some of the different offerings I have. And then they will identify and say, oh yeah, this is a problem, right? Or for instance, I had a client and she was like, oh my gosh, we have all these systems everywhere and we're paying so much in credit card processing fees. Can you help me? Right. So that's what she was looking for. And so I was able to go in, we provided a great solution that helped her streamline all of her operations. So she's saving time and then she's also saving money. So by implementing our payment processing with our zero fee freedom program, she's saving approximately $25,000 a year. So it can be really impactful and just little things that you can tweak and do. And what happens is we get so into our businesses and we're running our businesses that we don't take time, and I'm guilty of this too, right? We don't take time to step back and look at our business and think, oh, what needs to be revisited, right? What haven't I looked at in a while? Or what have I just set and forget that I need to go back to? And it's important to know. I did real estate investing for a while, right when I got out of corporate. And so I was running a wholesaling business and then COVID hit and I went, oh my gosh, right? So everything kind of halted. We didn't know what was going on. Shirley didn't know it would last as long. But I went, oh my gosh, I had 2 employees. I'm like, we have to cut costs immediately. And just by paying attention to what I was spending and looking at the why behind that, I was able to cut my operational costs by 40%.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's just taking that time to do it. And to be honest, sometimes it's just people saying, hey, can you come in? Can you walk through this with me? Because it's almost that accountability and having someone to do it with you. Otherwise, a lot of business owners, they're just not going to do it because they're in the weeds. They're in the business rather than working on it.
Yeah, so you need that outside eyes to just a neutral, like a
Mhm.
neutral party, just come in and say this can go because you don't need it. It's not
Yeah.
benefiting you.
Yeah. Or why do you have this? And if there's not a good reason, sometimes we have stuff because we think we may need it. Well, if you haven't used it,
You don't need it.
you don't need it. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you give some common, like, mishaps that you see people making, within their businesses?
Oh,
Just a couple, because I'm sure there's thousands that you
common
see.
tabs. Let me use myself as an example. I like to fall on the sword because I never want anyone to be listening to this or watching this and think, hey, yeah, she's got it all together, because that's not in fact the case, right? And we're all human and we all fail forward. So for me, one of the mishaps that I had in running my business, and this was within real estate, but we had a purchase for a commercial property, and we used an attorney, right, to go through the mortgage docs and provide counsel and all the things, so we did it right, which is the right way to do it, by the way. And then we get a $5,000 bill, and I was
Mhm.
like head exploded. And
Mhm.
so, that was an unexpected cost. And that was unfortunate, right? There should have been some more communication. You live and you learn. So checking in to figure out what the rate is, how many hours you're at, and understanding that would have been helpful. So then fast forward to a little while later, and I decided to build a single family house. I wanted to get into affordable housing and do my part to try to contribute to a solution. And so we had a contract with a builder. I did not get a attorney to review it because I wanted to save and not have to spend $5,000. So a build that was supposed to take 4 to 6 months took 18. And I had no legal recourse to, that he would have to pay because it took so long. I had no legal recourse. I don't know how else to say it. And I didn't get an attorney to review it because I wanted to save $5,000. And instead, we spent well more than that on our private, because we had private lending with private money on it. So we spent way more than that in interest. So I bit my nose off to spite my face. And, I say that because we all work so hard to build our businesses. And then we do things that we think may be a good idea because we're trying to save money, and it burns us. And I'm all for saving money, but for me, right? And we talked about Legal Shield a minute ago. And yes, Legal Shield is something that I sell. It's something I have personally. And this is one of the reasons, because now so I have to get a contract out on Monday. I'm sending it to the attorney to review, because I'm not sending anything out without attorney review, right? Or I'm not signing anything without attorney review.
Mhm.
And it is so important to protect our business and our families. And we built this business and then we leave it to chance, or we're Googling for legal help, or we're asking a friend for legal help, right? You should, like, contract reviews. If you are, I know a lot of coaches and consultants, if you have an agreement you're sending to a client, that agreement should have been drafted by an attorney. If you just pull it offline, what state was that created in, right? What state are you in? Was it drafted by an attorney? There's so many ambiguities that you can trip up. Contract review, um, trademarking, things like that. Having someone, it's peace of mind, right? And having legal counsel when and if you need it, that is affordable. And then you're protecting your business. So I would say that's one of the major pitfalls, and I've fallen victim to it myself. Absolutely. Because I was trying
You and
cost
probably everybody else,
right. Yep. Absolutely.
me included.
Yeah.
I've done
Oh
that
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, anytime you're doing business with someone should be reviewing that agreement.
Right. Absolutely. Of course, because somebody at the end is going to wind up either unhappy, upset, treated unfairly, or not understood what they had signed.
Mhm. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
Could you give me an example of a transformation that you were most proud of with a customer?
Um, so I would say I would go back to the restaurant that I mentioned when she, and that was a referral. So I work with a lot of strategic partners or referral partners, and so I was referred into that client and met with her and asked her. I remember I was sitting outside my son's basketball practice, and I'm in the car taking copious amounts of notes. And she was like, here's how it's set up. This is why I'm frustrated. And this is what's happening. And I could hear it in her voice. And it was so scattered. She's like, nothing's talking to each other. Everything's scattered. I'm paying all these fees. I didn't realize I was paying these fees. I don't know why. And so it was so crystal clear that the solutions that we were able to provide her were going to benefit her greatly. And then just sitting down with her and implementing it. And I mean, she and I have become friends through the process, but implementing it and helping her, she bought her business from her parents a little while ago, but helping her save $25,000 a year in payment processing is huge. And so she's expanding her restaurant and she's doing some things. So this money is not only is she saving this money over the course of a year, but she's going to be able to put this money towards growing out her restaurant and bringing in more revenue with some of the things she's doing with a bar and patio seating and things like that. So she's putting it to use that is going to more than 2x. I mean, I don't even know that it's going to bring in a ton of revenue. And so that was a great success story. Just working hand in hand and seeing her, and then we were able to go in with another product or solution that will save her a little bit more than we saved her in payment processing. So she is happy.
Yeah.
Happy clients. That's the kind of client we like, right? And it's because to your point, right? It's like sales. Did I sell her something? Yes, but I sold her a solution to her problem that provided immense value. So it's providing monetary savings and time savings.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you kind of answered the question, but would you say that helping people, being able to sell them a product or a service or a solution that can help them save money to make their businesses and their lives more successful is rewarding to you?
Oh my gosh, yes. I geek out over it. I mean,
Of course.
absolutely. I've been the person. I told someone this the other day, because I do some other things, and they were on my team. They joined my team for something, and I said, help me understand your goals, because the way that I am wired and the way that God has made me is I will work harder to help you succeed and to help you meet your goals than I will for my own. And inadvertently, right, I'm meeting my goals. That's just how it works. But I have a passion for helping people achieve their goals, to solving, finding solutions for them, to helping their business thrive. And I mean, small businesses are the absolute backbone of our country. So if I can serve small business owners all day long, that's my happy place.
Nice. And then how can somebody get in contact with you to have these services, or you come and consult for them?
Sure. The best way is to go to my website, angieaki.com. It's ANGIEAKI.com. You can also email me, Angie@angieaki.com. Those are probably the two best ways to reach me. And I would love to connect with you, have a chat with you. There's no initial consulting fee or charge, so we can hop on a call and we can talk about some ways that we may be able to work together. I'd be more than happy to.
That's amazing. This was such great info. I'm so glad you can join me today, and hopefully we can reach out and help more people.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for listening and joining us. If you haven't already, please share, subscribe, and like our episodes and our podcast. Also, leave a review. It will be so helpful to us, and we would so appreciate it. Also, if you want to join us at any time, we're open to any guests joining us in person and on Zoom. We post and record episodes bi-weekly, so that's twice a month. Also, they're posted on our socials, which is Facebook, Secured Insurance Group, Instagram, Colleen Insurance Lady. This podcast was hosted by myself, Miss Colleen Pacheco, and recorded and produced and edited by Sean Spazzato. Our podcast cover art was designed and created by Norma Pacheco, and our intro and outro music is created by Lounge Bar by Geronic. Goodbye.